Today is actually the 10th of Nisan. That corresponds to the month of Tevet, the tribe of Dan, and the prince is Achi Azer, his brother, helper. This whole thing has to do with Shimshon and Nazir and the serpent. But today, I have this hush, this inclination and feeling to start talking about the 13th day. The 13th day of Nisan is very famous because that was the decree of Haman. And that's actually when the whole thing started, the year before Pesach. The decrees, the fasts of Esther on the 14th, 15th, and 16th of the Nisan, the year before, 11 months before the redemption. So the decree of Haman started on the 13th. And the 13th of Nisan is a day in which all of the verses are read, the 89 verses, which corresponds to the word Hanukkah, which is a strange thing because the original Purim and Hanukkah have original origins on that 13th day of Nisan. And the 13th day of Nisan is a general day, a grouping of all the previous 12 days and any of the names that you didn't read or the observances that you didn't follow in the meditations. You're supposed to do them all today on that 13th day, and that'll make up for it. The 13th day is almost like a leap year. It's like a second Adar. But in itself, the 13th day is a general of the particular. And this is very important to me because, you see, I don't believe in barriers. I don't believe in divisions. Barriers and divisions come from a linear perspective. When the world was flat, one had demarcations of individual countries. Spain had a border. France has a border to Italy, Germany. When the world is round, when there's one world, there's no border between them, as exemplified by the euro today and the lack of borders between European countries. This is the same thing as we have here in the United States. We have all these states, but it's one, it's the United States. That's the way I feel about races in general. There's really only one race, the human race. But we've made these divisions due to when we thought the world was flat. And so that's the linear perspective, as opposed to the gilgul, the circular perspective. When we do meditations in Sefer Yetzirah, we put those 22 letters around in a circle and make the connections. We don't spread them out, make the connections. And so in these first 12 days, with the simple letters manifested, what we're really doing is making a cube. There are 12 lines, edges of a cube. And each one of these, that's the space cube, and each one of these lines, these edges, has a simple letter, the Hebrew simple letters, meaning the letters of the month, the 12 simples as expressed in Sefer Yetzirah of the 3 mothers, the 7 doubles, and the 12 simple letters. 12 simple letters starting at Hey and finishing at Kuf. Each of these corresponding to a month. Strange that the Hey is a 2-part letter, and so is the Kuf, a 2-part letter, a non-connecting letter, written by 2 distinctive strokes. These 12 letters are the 12 edges of the space cube. And now here on the 13th day that we're going to talk of, this 13th thing is the center spot of the space cube. The center spot of the space cube. It's a meditative spot, a union spot of no distinction of the, and kind of like equidistant to all the other lines. 12 edges of the cube. And the 13th is inside, in the middle, and that's the Echad. And Echad is 13, which makes a union of the 12. The 12 are actually the dinim here, the het and the dalet as the 12, and the kedusha as the aleph, which is a aleph inside these 12. And so this spot is really the aleph. This aleph spot has a unique center of everything. This Echad, the 13 is 1. It's a 12 and a 1. There's an Echad. This Aleph spot is always Hashem. It's always a Yud Hey Vav Hey, because of the 26 of the Yud on top, the Yud on the bottom, and the Vav in the middle. It's also the first letter of Ehyeh. And those 2 names of Yud Ke Vav Ke and Ehyeh are the ones that are permutated during these 12 months. Each of the 12 different permutations having a corresponding month. That's another thing that you're supposed to go over. These 12 corresponding permutations on this 13th day of both of those names. And so this 13th day is a unification of the other 12 days. It's a very powerful day, as related as the day of decree, of Haman's decree against the Jews. And what transpired after that. So I ask you to, on this day, form the space cube with the 12 lines, 12 edges of the cube. And put the Aleph in the middle. Remember that the Aleph is always Hashem, but the Aleph is always you. The middle of the space cube is the unifying factor as you bring everything together. And this is the bringing together the 12 months, and on this 13th day you'll actually sensate what will happen to you during the entire year in general, not the year in particular, but the year in general. So that's why I give this today, a couple days before. It's a preparation for the 13th day. As we enter into these last final months, the Tevet and the Shavat and the Adar, and how they had their origins. How the origins could have been unconscious. Even before physical manifestation. And so, I bring, now that we talk about this unconscious origin, I bring you to Sefer Yetzirah. And in the next few days I'll be announcing some manifestations of Sefer Yetzirah in the coming year.